doing whatever they could do to save my life.
I was scared. The worst part of it is seeing it get worse.
Doctors have diagnosed Jack with meningoencephalitis. If they don't find what virus caused the inflammation of both his brain and surrounding tissue, he could die from the infection. With his latest test results still days away, the hospital staff is limited in their treatment protocol.
It is simply supportive care, making sure that they can breathe okay, that they don't hurt themselves because they're acting so strange.
Suddenly, Jack begins to have severe problems breathing. On the 6th day of hospitalization, the swelling in his brain causes Jack to go into respiratory failure.
What's wrong with him? Jack, it's okay, Jack.
Here we go, it's okay. Stay with us here, Jack. The patient's in trouble and needs help breathing. The physician that was taking care of Mr. Rainey would go ahead and place a breathing tube down into the trachea to allow us to assist that patient via mechanical ventilation.
And I panicked because ventilator, I thought that once you were on it, you didn't come off. I became physically ill. I remember thinking that I might be looking at having to plan his funeral. I just gotta see for me. This was 6 days, and nobody had still been able to tell me what was wrong with him.
Call the ICU. We need a transfer him straight away. Now.
For the next several days, Sherry and Jack's family maintain a bedside vigil while Jack is in a coma. Jack could have any number of potential viral infections, like chikungunya, West Nile, or Bunya virus, all of which have no known treatment. But finding the exact origin of the virus will allow doctors to properly assess Jack's chances for survival and better treat his symptoms.
Miss Rainey, we've done about all we can for now.
With the test results still days away, the doctors have run out of options.
It's now up to Jack.
Jack has to want to fight. Jack has to want to live.
Jack Rainey's fight for his life is reminiscent of the nightmares he had just weeks before.
I knew he was fighting. I knew that part of him was still there, and he was trying to fight.
You know, I believe that I was being pulled away. I was dying. And my mom was saying, no. His family needs him. There was a struggle for my life.
Jack, Mom, Jack's awake.
Finally, a breakthrough. Jack comes out of the coma.
What I remember is the look on my wife's face. She was scared to death, but yet so happy.
I was just relieved the worst was over. I mean, he had fought and won, but I was worried because something was still wrong.
Sherry has every reason to be concerned. Jack's troubles are far from over. The test results the doctors have been waiting for are finally in.
Jack has West Nile virus.
Mr. Rainey's diagnosis of West Nile virus is actually very surprising. It is the first and only case of West Nile virus that we've seen at this hospital.
Less than 1% of those who are afflicted with West Nile virus get an infection in the brain causing meningitis and encephalitis. Normally found in Africa and the Middle East, West Nile virus is a disease rarely seen in the U.S.
The West Nile virus comes from mosquitoes, and that's how it's transmitted to humans. The mosquitoes give it to other animals here in the population because birds have it and horses have it, and so they must have come across a bad mosquito.
But how did Jack come into contact with West Nile virus?
They kept asking me about mosquito bites, if he had any mosquito bites.
You know, I can't remember being bit by a mosquito in 22 years. So having West Nile virus coming from the bite of a mosquito, it's kind of odd.
As he thought back to the time before he got sick, Jack remembered what he now thinks is an important clue to the source of his infection.
Right out by my truck was a little teeny bird, dead. So I I believe that from picking up that dead bird and the bird's infected, they gave me West Nile virus.
Although doctors say there is no evidence that a person can get the virus from handling infected birds, Jack believes there is a link that caused his infection. And once he had it, the virus invaded Jack's body, causing the inflammation of his brain.
Jack's West Nile virus affected both his meninges as well as the brain itself, and so we ended up having meningeal encephalitis, where he had an inflammation of both the lining of his brain as well as the brain itself.
I was both relieved and scared. I was relieved that we knew what we were dealing with, but in the next breath, she told me that there was no treatment for it.
He's got a very strong immune system, so if anyone can get through this, Jack will. So you're going home, Jack.
Fortunately, Jack is able to defeat the potentially fatal virus on his own, but it leaves him with severe disabilities.
He's not the same person that he was before he got.
These new scratch-offs from the Kentucky Lottery can get you moving.
Everything about a big truck crash is serious. At Hughes & Coleman, we give these cases the urgent attention they demand. As soon as you call us, our truck response team can jump into action. So if you've been injured, call the real truck lawyers at Hughes & Coleman.
Let's make a deal. Next on WLKY, sponsored in part by the Kentucky Lottery.
We are giving things away. Hallelujah. Money, $10,000 in cash. It's a new Mazda CX-3. It's a trip to Puerto Rico. We'll shake that booty like a box of detergent. You came for the game, but we gave you a show.
Good stuff.
Today's your lucky day. $21,000 in cash. This is the best game show in the whole world. Let's make a deal. It's time for Let's Make a Deal. Here's TV's big dealer, Wayne Brady. Welcome to Let's Make a Deal. I'm Wayne Brady, and this is Mega Money Monday. Oh, you know, Mega Money Mondays. I love this day of the week. It's where we guarantee you get Jonathan Mangum's personal guarantee that someone in this audience will win $10,000. You can pop a